you're sitting at your desk. It's early, maybe a little too early. The house is completely quiet, the coffee hasn't quite kicked in yet, and the only sound in the entire room is the soft rustle of feathers right behind you. And then it starts. A sound so sharp, so relentless, so perfectly timed to ruin the one moment of peace you actually had, that you just spin around in your chair, half frustrated, half bewildered, and you lock eyes with this tiny creature that weighs less than a handful of pocket change, your Budgie, staring directly at you, completely unbothered. And here's the thing, you love this bird. You really do. But in this exact moment, standing there with your coffee getting cold and your patience running thin, you find yourself asking the same question 1,000 Budgie owners ask every single day. Why does this tiny animal seem determined to make my life harder? But here's what's actually happening. And honestly, the answer is going to completely change the way you look at your relationship with them. Your Budgie isn't trying to annoy you, it's trying to read you. Constantly. Every single day. From the second the cage cover comes off to the moment the lights go down, your bird is running a continuous behavioral analysis of every single signal you give off. Your posture, your voice, your schedule, your stress, even your silences. And those 5 habits that drive you absolutely up the wall, they're not random, they're not bratty, they're not proof that you somehow got a difficult bird. They are responses. Precise, calibrated, deeply meaningful responses to you, the most complex and confusing creature in your Budgie's entire world. Think about this for a second. You share your space with an animal that evolved over millions of years to read the behavioral cues of a flock. We're talking about an animal whose survival in the wild depended entirely on noticing the tiniest shifts in the group, who's anxious, who's calm, who's about to move. That instinct didn't just disappear because they're in a cage. It was transferred right to you. You became the flock, and everything your Budgie does is a direct message from one flock member to another. So let's go through all 5. And honestly, try not to be too freaked out by how accurate this gets. It's not even fully light outside yet. Your alarm hasn't gone off. Nothing in the house has moved. And then completely out of nowhere, your Budgie just erupts into the most intense, most piercing chirping session of the whole day, directing it right at the darkness, right at you, right, it feels like, at your very last nerve. But here's what's actually happening. In the wild, Budgies use what's called a dawn chorus as a quick flock health check. Every single bird calls out at first light just to confirm they made it through the night. If a member of the flock doesn't answer, that's critical information. That's a predator warning. That's the signal to move. Now flip this around to your living room. You are the flock, and you've been completely silent and still for 8 hours. From your Budgie's perspective, that is an alarmingly long time for a flock member to go without showing any signs of life. So that dawn calling, it isn't just noise. It's a welfare check. Your bird is calling out at daybreak to make sure you're still there, still breathing, still safe, still part of the group. And this is the part people miss. The mornings your Budgie is loudest are often the mornings after the room felt a little unsettled the night before. A late night, a loud argument, a disrupted routine, your bird wogs all of it. And at dawn, they check in even harder. That morning racket you can't stand, it's literally your Budgie saying, I noticed something was off. Are you okay? You sit down to get some work done. Within 30 seconds, your Budgie has landed directly on your keyboard. They walk across it with this total confidence, like they own the machine, and then they just stop and stare right up at you with what can only be described as deliberate eye contact. You move them away. They come back. You move them again. They come back even faster. And this is where it gets interesting. Budgies are proximity animals. In a flock, physical closeness is a massive trust signal. The birds that sit nearest to each other are the ones with the tightest social bonds. Distance in Budgie psychology equals emotional tension. When you sit at your desk head down, eyes forward, body language totally closed off, you look from your bird's perspective like a flock member who is withdrawing. And to them, a flock member who withdraws is either threatened, sick, or socially disconnected. The keyboard landing isn't a disruption. Honestly, it's an intervention. Your Budgie is physically inserting itself right into your line of sight, because it has read your closed-off body language as a social alarm and is trying to re-establish the connection. There's a specific example that makes this undeniable, and you can test it yourself. Pay attention to which tasks trigger the hijack. Budgies tend to ramp up this on-desk behavior on the exact days you're the most stressed. When your typing is faster, your posture is tighter, your voice is lower or absent. They're not trying to steal your attention. They're just responding to the signal your stress is broadcasting without you even knowing it. Everything is completely calm. The room is totally relaxed. No loud noises, no sudden movements. And then, out of nowhere, your budgie just starts screaming. This sharp, persistent screeching for absolutely no reason you can see. But here's the part nobody tells you. That no reason is the reason. Budgies have this incredibly precise internal map of their surroundings. They track everything, the light level, sound patterns, where every single person in the house is. And when something in that mental map doesn't match up, like when a sound suddenly disappears or you move to a room where they can't hear you anymore, their threat assessment immediately kicks in. See, in a budgie's brain, silence is in peace. Silence means something is missing, and to them, that means danger. So when they scream during those quiet moments, your bird is actually just testing the environment. They're throwing out a contact call, waiting for the flock, which is you, to answer. Think about it. When you shout back in frustration, they usually quiet down almost instantly, right? It's not because they got scared, it's because you answered the call. You just told them the flock is still intact. So what does this mean for you? Next time they start screaming, just give them a simple, calm vocal response. It doesn't even have to be words, just a little sound. Honestly, that will quiet your budgie down faster than any distraction trick ever could. Because you're finally speaking the only language they actually care about. I'm here. The flock is safe. Then there's annoying habit number 4, the seed-flinging strike. You just filled up the food bowl. It's good, fresh food, the perfect mix. Your budgie flies straight over, looks you dead in the eye, and then systematically flings every single seed it doesn't want all over the cage floor. It looks like someone angrily overturning a table. But think about this for a second. In the wild, when a budgie is foraging on the ground, they move through grass and seed heads, picking out exactly what their body needs right that second. It's an active, physical, deliberate process. Choosing what to eat by rejecting what you don't want, discarding whatever doesn't hit that exact nutritional craving, is a deeply embedded foraging habit. Your bird isn't just trying to be wasteful, they're foraging. They're just doing it in a plastic bowl instead of a wild field. The flinging is the selection process. All that mess on the floor, that's just the equivalent of the grass they would have pushed through to find the good stuff. And this is where it gets interesting. The days your budgie flings more seed than usual are almost always the days when their environment has been a bit boring. Less time out of the cage, less interaction, a repetitive routine. That foraging behavior ramps up when they don't have other ways to keep their brain busy. The mess isn't an attitude problem. It's a literal sign that your bird's brain needed more to do that day than it actually got. Which brings us to annoying habit number 5, the silent stare. This is the one that gets under people's skin in a totally different way. It's not loud, it's not destructive, it's just your budgie, completely still, staring at you, unblinking, for an uncomfortably long time. And somehow, it just feels a little unnerving. Honestly, it probably should. In budgie social behavior, sustained, relaxed eye contact is actually one of the absolute highest forms of trust. It's not aggression, it's not boredom, it's definitely not a blank stare. In flock dynamics, keeping calm eye contact with another bird is an act of total vulnerability. It means, I am completely safe with you. I don't even need to scan the room for threats right now because I'm giving you my full attention. And your budgie is doing that with you. That long, unblinking, slightly creepy stare that you thought was just weird behavior, that is your bird offering you the highest compliment they have in their vocabulary. They're telling you that right now, with the room quiet and everything calm, they have chosen to give you their full, undivided trust. And the funny thing is, most of us look away first. Here's what all 5 of these behaviors, when you put them together, are actually trying to tell you. You don't have an annoying bird. You have an extremely attentive one. Like, this is a creature that wakes up every single morning and immediately starts an intensive, ongoing study of the most important thing in its worldview. Think about it. Your bird is constantly monitoring your stress, noticing when you pull away, checking in on you when you get quiet, and honestly, just letting out frustration the only way it physically knows how. And then, when the room finally settles down and everything is still, it offers you something it almost never gives to anyone else. Just complete, absolute trust. See, all that chaos you've been living with? It isn't just disruption. It's communication. It's coming from a creature that never stopped trying to reach you, even when you didn't understand the language. But now that you do, even just a little bit, here's the real question. What are you going to say back? Tell me down in the comments which one of these 5 hit you a little differently. Because honestly, I'm willing to bet there's a specific moment you thought of while watching this that you're now seeing in a completely different light. Drop it below. I really want to know.